everybody. Welcome back to the Spa Sisters podcast. I'm Carly Chamberlain. I'm with my co-host Julie Wren today, and we have our guest Emily Sedgwick, who is a marketing specialist in the health and wellness sector. She is joining us today to give us lots of insights into that wonderful world of marketing in spa and wellness. And I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this because we use marketing and partner with marketing brands and companies and clients and colleagues all the time. But sometimes we don't really know the link and the connection between how important marketing is for the business. If we're a spa therapist or a leader, we're just getting on with our day-to-day operations, and we need to know about the cogs that work behind the scenes to help generate all the wonderful things that marketing can offer. I'm gonna stop talking now.
Mhm.
Introduce Emily. Hello, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
So we have some good questions for you today, I have to say. Um, Julie's
Juicy
been
ones.
thinking hard about this, because Emily, you kind of what sort of raised the question when we were talking about marketing campaigns, and that's obviously some sort of a term that people think of when they think of marketing. Um, but you made a point of saying that great marketing isn't just about campaigns. So our first question is really centered around, first of all, what you mean by that, and why, for our therapists in particular, is this important to understand?
Yeah, I think obviously marketing has its campaigns. Campaigns are incredibly powerful, and it's a lot of my time and energy goes into creating amazing marketing campaigns for spas and wellness businesses. Um, but I think really the thing that really sets like spa and wellness businesses apart from other businesses that I've worked for in the past is that it's about the people. It's about connection. Like when I first started out marketing on brands like, well, cereal brands. So shredded wheat, Cheerios, those are different types of brands. And I can't tell you back then, I'm creating these marketing campaigns to go into Tesco, Sainsbury's, whatever. And I can't tell you how much I would have loved to have been able to see the interaction of those people with
Mm.
my brand. And that would have been a bit weird because I would have to have gone into people's breakfast tables. But
Mm.
I think really, and that's why when I first kind of moved into spa and wellness, that's why I was so excited because I could see people living the brand and interacting with the brand. And that's the real power. That real human connection is so important. And I think I've done
Mhm.
quite a lot of work recently around the importance of authenticity
Mm.
for brands. And I think that's because, the technology has just gone so insane in terms of, AI. People can't trust what they're seeing
Yeah.
on their phones, on their TV screens, but you can trust the person that you're stood with, that you're interacting with. And so there's a real power there of
Mm.
having that human interaction and connection with people and touch as well, like physical touch, which is so important for spa therapists.
Mm.
So I think, campaigns will bring people in through the door, but what makes them return, and we know from a financial point of view, it is much more efficient to get people returning than having to go out and getting new people again and again and again. We know what makes them return is that experience. And that's really where the spa therapists come in. So I worked for Champneys for a number of years. I was marketing director there. And I was, in the back office, and occasionally they might see marketing people walking through, or we'd be doing photo shoots and stuff. But always my worry is that the spa therapists felt disconnected from what we were doing, when really they are the face of what we were doing. They are the core essence because they are the people that are interacting with the clients every single day. So building that trust with them and that loyalty is so important. Having that relationship. So that's why I'm really passionate about making sure that spa therapists, and every single person that has that interaction with the customer really understands the power of marketing.
Mm. Yeah, because do you feel that times are moving on in that area? I often associate sort of marketing teams and sales teams completely removed from the spa operation. And maybe there's almost a hierarchy thing there as well, which I think needs to be smashed because again,
Absolutely.
how do we have the business needs in mind if we're sort of splitting ourselves and having that hierarchy? And it does feel like that. Have you experienced that before? Or just a sort of curveball question.
Yeah, yeah,
In
absolutely. And it's even like work we've done in the past was around especially if there's multiple sites, people in different locations, of people really understanding what the brand stands for and
Mm.
actually, doing a survey and asking those questions of, so what does this brand mean to you? If this brand was a person, what would this person look like? And it's quite scary how many different answers you get from that. And though all those people are the people that are interacting with your brand, so if they've all got a different opinion about what your brand is and what your brand stands for, then they're going to be giving a different message to your client. So making
Mm.
sure that they understand what the brand is, and it's not just, the people in the suits telling them, it's about actually, what do you think the brand means? You're the person that's interacting with our customer. What is our customer like? Like they know our
Mm.
customer way more than the people in the back office. So actually having those interaction, those conversations and bringing them on board is so important. And I think often missed. And I would put myself in that area as well over my years, having missed that opportunity to interact more
Mm.
with everybody on a day-to-day basis.
Does that also
Amazing.
start from perhaps even from recruitment? Because, if you are a brand and you ask that question in a recruitment moment, you're having an interview and you're looking for staff and you say, well, what is their brand? And they don't even know what your brand is when they've come into the interview. I mean, doesn't that also say something about your brand as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's funny because when I was kind of recruiting staff, those that had worked for me for a long time knew that if I would always ask that question. So what does the brand mean to you? How do you represent? How do you think of the brand? And if their answer was always like, oh, it's luxury, I'd always be like, oh, it's so much more than luxury. Like kind of really like dig into the brand, understand it. And so yeah, and I don't know from a recruitment point of view outside of marketing, how much is that taken into consideration? How much is asked about their understanding of the brand?
Mm.
And then that onboarding process as well. Like I worked quite heavily with our marketing, with our HR director to bring that into the onboarding process. So they really did understand the brand within those first few weeks.
Mm. Because the reason I asked that question is because we've had lots of conversations on the podcast over many, many seasons about finding staff, about recruiting staff. So if the messaging going out with the recruitment is not clear, are you recruiting the people that are going to be the best match for your brand? And then they get on site and they realize actually it's not for them because there's no value match. There's
Yeah.
no purpose, and we're going to be talking a lot in the future now about purpose, about being purpose-driven companies, but also people looking for purpose in terms of their well-being. So if
Absolutely.
I'm not matching as a therapist to your brand, then
Mhm.
how can I live your values as well? Because there's a be a disconnect there as far as I'm concerned,
Mhm. And
unless
I
you
think,
can learn it.
yeah, and I think there's so many brands out there that have these mission statements, have these values, but are they actually living them day
Mm,
by day? Probably not. And so,
mm,
like, actually, is every single decision you're making, are you going back to those mission statements and those values
Mm.
and making sure that it does align as well?
yeah. Yeah. So we're a bit off topic there, but yeah, that
It's
was
interesting.
So imagine you're a therapist, you've been recruited for this role. Um, in your opinion, Emily, how does the day-to-day experience that a therapist creates, so sort of the other way around now, they've got the power essentially to show off what this brand is all about. How does this become one of the most powerful forms of marketing, the delivery of it?
Yeah, I mean, when I first kind of started off my time at Champneys, we would give each kind of therapist a leaflet and they would hand that leaflet over to the customer at the end of it, which would be, the offer of the week or something, to try and drive that kind of the retail side of the business. And I think really now it's evolved that we want to take on use the expertise of those therapists. So therapists have so much knowledge, and I don't think they always think that they do. Because I was talking to someone earlier this week, and she was talking about like her qualifications, and I'm like, yeah, but I can't do that. Like I could do my marketing, but I can't go in and do all these amazing treatments that you do. You have so much knowledge about the body, and that's really the power, is that expertise you have and building that kind of emotional relationship with someone. So talking to someone about how they're feeling, having those conversations in terms of the treatment and then post. So it's not about trying to do an upsell, it's trying to help add value to your life, post your spa stay or post your treatment, to be able to really build that kind of connection and that trust with them. And people don't talk to their friends about amazing advert they saw, unless they work in marketing, and I do talk to my marketing friends about amazing adverts I've seen, but normal people don't. But they talk about how they felt during that experience, how that treatment was. They're the things that people remember, and then they talk to their friends about. So that word of mouth recommendation is so important, and I think that's why it's so important that spa businesses are rewarding the staff who get those kind of name calls, those call outs from reviews or within the surveys that are done, so that people really do feel appreciated for those small little details that they're doing that make people stay memorable.
And you think, therefore, it's within education within the spa, there's a place there to teach therapists how to create their own brand, their own personal brand. Because if you like, they're actually marketing themselves every time they walk into a treatment room. And if you've got regular clients that are going to come in, they're going to be wanting to pick, Jane, if she's really out there living the brand, promoting herself, as you say, sharing her expertise and her knowledge. But I think we need to teach that, because not everybody realizes that they have their superpowers. And I always ask the girls when I'm training them, I say, okay, what's your superpower? Yeah. And they look at me like, what do you mean, what's my superpower? I say, well, what's your uniqueness? And they're not given that opportunity, I think, in education to explore that value that they bring, explore what that means in terms of marketing, without it saying, oh, I don't want to be pushy. So have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, I think definitely. I think there's so much power in the individual, of people kind of return, and people will actively return, and they want that same therapist that they had previously, because of that connection that they had with them, that they were amazing at what they did, that they had that real bond with them. And so I think absolutely that real personal brand element is so important. Particularly kind of, working with some more kind of boutique style spas as well, where that is really kind of your superpower. And, some marketing I've done previously is around kind of pulling them out and like, actually, let's talk about them. Let's get their behind the story. Why do they want to be a therapist? Let's put that out across social media, rather than just beautiful photos of the swimming pool. Let's actually really hone into these individuals, because people buy from people. And so I think it's really important that those individual characters within the business are pulled out.
Yeah, I think that's great in that environment, the boutique, smaller kind of independent offering, perhaps, or one that champions individuality in therapists. But the likes of the bigger spa machines, I don't know if that is realistic in those setups, because it really is a sort of in and out, churning through, the booking system and getting these guests in and out, and often those guests will be transient, so they might not come back regularly. I suppose those therapists that work in those bigger environments probably do get a bit lost, or feel a little bit sort of on a treadmill with it. have you experienced that before?
Yeah, I think definitely. And I think that's where, working with the kind of the spa directors or the heads of spas to be able to really make sure that they feel seen and they feel that their opinion does count.
Yeah.
And I think even in having worked for arguably one of the biggest in the UK spa chains, um, even if it is a bit of a spa factory, as you kind of said, it's still really special moment. Those 50 minutes are still really special to the client. And so you can do a lot in those 50 minutes to really change someone's day and change someone's experience.
Yeah.
And so even if you're not able to kind of from an outwardly point of view, but really kind of develop a huge personal brand, I think you still can really make a difference on an individual basis within that
Yeah.
50-minute or
Mm.
20-minute time frame.
And again, I think that's kind of down to training because if the therapist is mentally prepared for that 50 minutes, they know how to utilize it well.
Mm.
Whereas if they're panicking that they've got only 50 minutes to get all this body surface covered, like get the back, legs, front of legs, stomach, arms, chest, all done in that
Yeah,
time. It doesn't become that experience. You can feel the stress of the therapist, and actually the key of that is even slowing down even more weirdly gets more done because the
yeah,
slower you go, the more powerful it is, I find,
mm,
because I'm still a practicing therapist as
yeah,
well. Um, and I know that feeling of rushing through a 50-minute treatment because you're back to back.
yeah,
So again, that comes to sort of therapists developing or being supported in developing their training of you know, their time management and their self-worth, their sense of self-worth, their sense of um, capability and their skill set. Um, but I suppose leading on to our next question, um, going back to clients, how can spas attract the right clients, ones who respect the therapists
mhm,
and are actually the client needs to be educated on that the therapist is a skilled,
yes,
professional,
Yeah.
right? And still I think there's a lot of work to be done in that area because I know from clients that come in to various spas that I've worked in or trained in that there's actually a lower expectation almost from the client.
really,
And I think just seeing a therapist as a service, just someone who's servicing, that's all they're going to get, right?
mm.
So like, how do we educate the clients? How can spas attract those clients?
I think it can really comes down to kind of positioning and messaging. So Um, I mean, obviously, and especially kind of coming out of Q1 with kind of the heavier kind of discounts and deals that might be out and about at the moment. I've certainly seen a few. And it's really kind of about kind of making sure that the marketing really highlights that expertise and that professionalism.
Mm,
And also, I think, like, coming back to kind of what you were saying around the amount of different, treatments that people have to fit in within their kind of their shift in terms of that 50-minute turnover, you know, so many people come to these spas wanting a massage, and we know from a physical point of view that's very, very tough on therapists. So actually, it's down to the commercial team, including marketeers, about developing and kind of highlighting all the other offerings that are on offer around those wellness treatments to really kind of be able to kind of showcase their expertise. So be that, kind of going into the more kind of the technology based treatments or kind of just more into like the holistic side of things. There's so many things on offer that we can really kind of delve into from a marketing point of view
mm,
across social channels, across digital channels, across PR as well, and to really kind of pull that out and really showcase that individual spa as an expert in what they do. Um, and really kind of, and I do think there, like I was saying earlier about those backstories, you know, the training that goes into becoming a therapist. There's not many spa marketing that I see out there that really delves into that in terms of actually this is the amount of hours that they have to do to be able to then be able to do that treatment and be able to kind of really kind of communicate that in a way that just really showcases that professionalism.
Mm. Just a little branch off that topic.
Mm,
As you were talking, it occurred to me that in-house marketing teams for I say a hotel brand, um, hotel spa brand, how much do they heavily rely on spa product houses to kind of carry the weight of how the spa is presented and what treatments there are on offer? Because again, this comes down to um, therapists doing treatments. Are they treatments that therapists can be freestyle with, that they may have trained in house and they have this sort of bespoke offering that they can feel a bit more freer with? Or are we still sort of stuck in that loop with spa product houses having that expectation of treatments being, identically performed,
mm,
every time? Like you've got the spa brand has the body treatment, the body massage, the facial, all the combinations, but there is a set protocol for that the spa product house will have written and expect
yeah,
the hotel spa to adhere to, so that the argument is, you go in and say have this facial, and then your partner has the same facial with another therapist, and they want to be able to say we experienced the same thing.
same,
But
yeah,
actually, I think that's quite a weak argument in this day and age, because I think that if you are going in and experience the same thing, you're not actually getting the full experience, because it should be tailored to the individual
yeah.
rather than being repetitively, like techniques just being churned out repetitively over and over again to adhere to a protocol.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think um, consumers are becoming much more savvy in terms of their understanding of
Mm.
of treatments and what they want from an end result of that treatment. And I think it's about kind of really understanding the target market. Who is your customer? What are they coming in for? Do they want to have the same treatment that they've been having for the last 20 years and it's exactly the same? They love that product house and that's what they want. Or do they want to have um, something that's a bit unique and a brand they maybe haven't really heard of before, but they are open to exploring because they want, and there's so many different options out there now for spas to be able to pull together a spa treatment menu that really does complement who their target market is. But
Mm.
that's where it really needs to stem from is who is your target market and what do they want? Because
Mm.
if you're starting to target now the younger demographic, so the Gen Zs, so they are very savvy about what they want. They have high expectations, but they're educated in what they want. And so really kind of making sure that you're honing your offering to them.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Yeah,
it feels like there is a place for protocol-led treatments from spa
absolutely.
product houses, but will that die out
Yeah,
eventually?
and yeah, and I mean, I've had it before where I've like, well, I've got this particular issue on my, around my back pain or something. So can you just target that area within the massage? And the therapist saying back to me, well, I have to. This is the system. I have to do it. This is what I have to do.
Mm.
And I'm like, well, can't you adapt it? No. The dream would be just to book an hour with a therapist, and then they go through your problems, and then they figure out a treatment for you
Yeah.
to adapt that. But yeah, it's
Mm.
maybe a bit off. Yeah.
Oh no, we're getting there, I think. That we are getting there, but there's a long way to go.
Yeah.
Mm.
Um, Julie, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, so within that conversation, then, are we talking about educating the therapist? What do you think their biggest misconception is around marketing? What have you witnessed?
I think the biggest challenge I've had is the separation. So
Hmm.
um And I've heard it before in like the staff canteen of them going, oh, well, them in not realizing I'm stuck behind them. Them in marketing have been doing this and more. And it's like, well, actually, there shouldn't be that separation. We are one. And I think there's a lot of people that think the marketing is the thing that's going out externally or across social media, across advertising. But in reality, that interaction with the clients is the most important thing. And a huge amount of work now from a marketing point of view is done once they've actually left the spa, and actually what are we going to do to get them back, because that's really kind of where you'll be able to generate those good revenue numbers from each individual, because then they're more likely to upgrade, they're more likely to kind of stay for longer, they might look at the different kind of retreat options that you may have. So really that power of their experience is so important, and making sure that the therapists know actually what other options you might have when they return. If you do retreats or boot camps or whatever it is, what are those? Do they actually know about that? I bet a huge amount of them don't. I remember I did some mystery shopping previously, and kind of I was asking like about the gift vouchers and be like, well, so what can I spend that on then, and how much is a spa day then, so how can I, and there wasn't that knowledge there. And so that's something that really needs to be worked on, to make sure that each individual really knows the business well, so that they can be the marketeers in themselves.
So around that then, what other education could be done then for the therapist? So if we talk about they need to be perhaps more aware of the marketing plan. And we're gonna, getting them comfortable with being able to tell what the offers are without it sounding like, oh, I'm trying to push you to buy something. So what other elements do you see there that we can help them with without making them feel like they're responsible for the revenue, but they're getting this insight into why it's so important?
I think it's really about kind of education and training. So really helping them really understand the business through that, onboarding process, but then also, redoing that every 6 months, really kind of making sure that people understand. And I think there is obviously that element of sales, but it's more about kind of that education, I think, that is really important.
Do you think that the marketeers themselves, the ones in head office or in the back room, they need education though on the life of the therapist? That we need to educate the sales and marketing team in the operation and how that looks from the other side, from the other angle.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how many photo shoots I've done where I'm we're photographing a treatment, and I'm like, well, could you just like lean like that? And the therapist's like, well, no, because that's not how it's done. Like that would be unprofessional. So I don't want that to be photographed, because then I would look like a terrible therapist. And so it's like, actually, I need that education of actually, this is how a treatment's done. This is what we do during a treatment. This is how we make people feel special. This is how we listen to their needs. So that, yes, absolutely, that is then brought through into the marketing.
And the marketing material that's being produced isn't like a sort of inner locked safe that no one's allowed to look at. It's, to share it is beneficial for all, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so I suppose the multi-dollar question is, if marketing were truly done with a therapist in mind, how different would the spa industry look?
I think we'd probably there'd be less focus on kind of filling of those diaries to make sure that everybody's got a treatment back to back, because obviously from a figure's point of view that looks great, but from a therapist's point of view, like you said, that's exhausting. So that would kind of stem from having kind of fewer of the the constant discount promotions, and really kind of delving into maybe the added value elements, so that you could add something onto a treatment versus it being a discounted treatment, so that it maybe it's a longer treatment, so that it all helps kind of the therapist in terms of their recovery between each treatment. better client education as well before arrival so that people know what to expect. Particularly with this kind of more savvy generation that are coming through, making sure that they're really educated in terms of what the treatments are that they've booked so that they really understand that that is right for them. And then there also might be more realistic expectations around results for certain types of treatments to make sure that people really understand, is this a treatment for relaxation? Is this a treatment where you will see direct results? Is this a treatment that actually is a course of treatments? So it won't be something that you will see direct results from day one.
Mm-hmm.
And more of a focus on, I think, on overall wellness rather than it just being those quick fixes. And well, this is the dream for everybody, I'd say, therapists or non-therapists, but a better booking flow, making sure that we're able to book people in and we know that background about them so that it feels like you can kind of start that conversation off with them when you already have that background information. Like if you went to see like a private doctor or something like that, they've already got that background detail about you. And they are ready to kind of, almost get started. So being able to do things like that within that booking flow to make sure that the therapists are ready once they get in the room.
I've just thought of a really obvious one as well. It's uniform. The kind of way that a therapist is presented in certain environments does not support their role as a qualified professional. I think some of our uniforms are so outdated. They look like you've just come out of the 80s. That image of a therapist needs to change in people's minds. People need to walk in and go, oh God, I've got this therapist and she looks like she knows what she's talking about. I know image isn't everything, but first impressions are, right?
Yeah. I do think there's definitely, I often see therapists and I'm like, that doesn't even look that comfortable. When you're like in a physical job, sometimes I think like you need to be able to look professional and also comfortable and be able to move properly. So yeah, I 100% agree.
And we've talked a lot about therapists' welfare over the different seasons, and one of the key things that Kylie and I are most concerned about is therapists burnout and bore out as well. That they get fed up of the industry or they actually start burning out. Have you seen any cases where poor marketing has actually led to something like that?
Yeah, I definitely think that poor marketing can lead to burnout, particularly, very heavy discounting to fill those empty slots or real kind of putting the pressure on for particular treatments, particularly, especially like I said before, around kind of massages, etc. And then also kind of like unpredictable booking patterns as well, I don't think can help, and like last minute diary pressure. Sometimes, we'll turn something on from a marketing point of view, and this is the joy of digital marketing now. We can turn something on overnight and to really kind of up sales over a weekend, like a flash sale or something like that. But that can really put on the pressure when you've suddenly got a whole host of new bookings coming through. And then, in terms of kind of like clients being able to expect miracles and maybe not having the right clients coming through the door who may, like we said earlier, not respect the therapist. So I think there's definitely a number of things where poor marketing can lead to that. But I would say also, good marketing, and I think there is hopefully lots of good marketing out there, and they are very good at, attracting those right clients and really promoting the amazing things that therapists can do for people. And really, the marketing I always love is the marketing about the individual, about the person. Like, I'd love to see a lovely, beautiful swimming pool and all your lovely facilities. I get that. Like, we need to be able to see that in some way, shape, or form. But really, it's about the person. It's about the individual. And that's what I always see come through as really strong, emotive marketing. And that is, like I said at the very beginning, that is really where spa and wellness are so privileged because we are all about emotion, we're about people, we're not about just trying to flog stuff on the supermarket shelves. So yeah, so that's where the power comes through, I think.
Wonderful.
Mm.
Tony, did you want to have anything else? Add anything else
I
today?
just I quickly Googled it, and it's you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
Yes, I do know that expression.
Yeah, Great.
Sorry,
Well,
I
that's
get
wonderful.
that.
So, Emily, tell us, what have you got planned for the rest of this year? What's on your horizons? What are you out there on a mission to change?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose from my point of view, having worked kind of for a larger business within spa and wellness for many years, and now I kind of work for myself and I work for a number of smaller businesses, product houses, and other kind of wellness businesses that are kind of growing the offering, I suppose, around spa and wellness. And I think that's really kind of my ambition is really for the rest of the year is to keep working with these businesses that are doing something different, that are offering something unique to the spa and wellness industry, and helping. I love, like you guys were saying, I love a brand with purpose. That's my passion. And I really kind of love helping brands that have that purpose, that really want to make a difference for people.
Yeah, lovely. So if people are more interested to follow you or to see what you're up to, where is the best place to reach you?
Yeah, so best place to reach me probably is LinkedIn. It's where I'm at my busiest. So it's Emily Sedgwick on LinkedIn. Or you could have a look at my website. So my website is Maerke Marketing, which is Danish, my Danish roots. So Maerke and then marketing.com.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so very much. This has been really insightful. And I think for any therapists out there, it's really, really important to think about yourself as having your own personal brand. So we really encourage you to tap into that, look at your superpowers, think about what it is that you're bringing to the business that you're working in, and don't be afraid to go out there and shout it out loud. You've studied for it, so well done. So thank you so very much, Emily. And if you want to hear more about the Spa Sisters and what we're up to, you can follow us on our social media channels. We're on Instagram, we're on LinkedIn and Facebook. And we also have, of course, our YouTube channel where you will find all the content over the last season and the seasons before, where there is great voices that are sharing with us different aspects of the industry and how you can grow yourself. So thank you so very much. And I'll see you with Carly on the next podcast.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.